What were those visions Mel saw? Who is behind Katarina's assassination? What are these strange symbols we see, and what are the Black Rose worried about? The cinematic starts off strong with LeBlanc narrating, telling us how the strong are coming to Noxus in the sexiest voice ever. Then we see the fight between Darius and Trundle. It looks like Darius and his Trifarian Legion are invading the border of Freyod because of the snowy mountains in the background. This fight is hype, and it actually answers a really interesting question for us. Basically, Darius' armor and weapon is made from a material found in a Noxian settlement called Delverhold, and he insisted that the Trifarian Legion be armed and armored using ore from the Delverhold in the Iron Spike Mountain, which he considers to be the best in the Noxian Empire. And even after having such a strong weapon, it's cool to see that True Ice still ruined the weapon completely and broke his axe. And side note, Darius picking up the True Ice axe and being covered in frogs was so badass. And what do you think Mel is doing in Noxus? Well, we know from the ending of Arcane Season 2 that she wants to come to Noxus in order to defeat the Black Rose, and we see her arriving at a shore of Noxus. Once she gets there, she's walking to a weird structure. I have a lot to say about this structure. Firstly, there's a lot of images on this building. One which looks like Brom's shield, aka Ornn's door, when he becomes a recluse in a mountain. We then also see an image of what looks like Pantheon. Now that could be the god Pantheon or Atreus retrieving the powers of Pantheon. I believe that this structure is showing the history of Runeterra, maybe carved by LeBlanc or Vladimir, as they have been alive for thousands of years. And I believe this more when Mel sees a vision. I have a few theories as to the vision she sees. The first is she sees something from the past. I believe the most likely vision is that she sees the history of how Mordekaiser was sealed by LeBlanc and Vladimir, leading to the formation of the Black Rose. And to go on a deeper level, I'm not sure if you knew this, but Mordekaiser, when he was in power, he had a group of powerful mages in his inner circle. One of them was LeBlanc, for example. I believe that Mel is the descendant of one of those mages in the circle, hence the vision she is seeing is actually a vision of her descendant thousands of years ago, and that's how Mel is learning the history of Noxus specific to Mordekaiser. This makes more sense to me, as after LeBlanc sealed Mordekaiser, she casted a magic to make the population forget about Mordekaiser and what he was. And a final reason she could be a descendant of a mage from Mord's inner circle is because in Arcane Season 2, LeBlanc refers to Mel as sister. Now that could be what she says to any female in the Black Rose, I am not entirely sure, but sister is what witches like LeBlanc would refer to someone who was in her coven or group back in the days. That's my first theory. The second one is that Mel is seeing a past of the Rune Wars. I will pause the video here and explain the Rune Wars. If you already know this, you can skip this part. When Mordekaiser was in power, it took LeBlanc and Vladimir to work together to seal him. And I say seal him as Mord is not dead and plans to come back to Runeterra again. And we believe the Black Rose wants to stop his return, but that's a whole different video. After their first successful mission, Vlad and LeBlanc form a group called the Black Rose. The Black Rose were living life. They took the Immortal Bastion, which was Mordekaiser's old base, as their main base and are just expanding their control of Noxy, until they obtained something called the World Runes. Oh, and Noxy is what Noxus used to be called back in the days. These were the runes the gods of Runeterra used to form the planet Runeterra. I mean, it's in the name, but the greedy people of Noxy did not use these runes for anything but evil. The runes got into the hands of many different groups who then caused insane destruction amongst each other. Like literally, a lot of civilizations were wiped from these rune wars. Eventually, the rune wars were stopped due to a person named Rise and his master Tyrus. After the wars, Vladimir returned to the Immortal Bastion, and all the old groups that were fighting etc. all came under one nation and accepted this. And that is how Noxus was created. So why would Mel specifically see the rune wars? Well, because they were the wars that lead to the formation of Noxus, and Mel could be interested in how Noxus was formed, and secondly because of Heimerdinger in Arcane. There's a scene where he speaks about the horrors of the rune wars, and it makes sense for him to have witnessed the wars or even hear about them, as Yordles live forever. So someone from his home place in Bandle City could have told him about the catastrophe of the war. I believe Riot mentioned that for a reason and did not add it for the memes as a filler sentence in Arcane. Oh, and the building Mel can see in the distance is the Immortal Bastion, which is the old base of Mordekaiser and now capital city of Noxus. These were theories for her seeing a vision of the past. Let's imagine she saw a vision of the future. Then I believe it's a bit less interesting, but just foreshadowing a big battle coming soon in Noxus. It could be her fighting against the Black Rose, as she is fighting some magic users who could be maybe using blood magic taught by Vladimir, hence the red beams. That's honestly about it for the vision scene. Let's talk about LeBlanc creating symbols before something happens. For example, she makes a symbol before we see Mel arrive at Noxus, a symbol before Katarina does her thing, and before Darius does his thing. Is this a reference to her being able to foresee the future? Because she mentioned even with Mel in Arcane Season 2 that a future calamity is coming. I actually don't think she can see the future. I just believe that over the thousands of years she has been alive, she has a clone keeping an eye on everyone. Like literally, I'm sure a soldier in Mel's Medada clan is LeBlanc. A fighter in Darius' army is LeBlanc. A bystander in the party where Katarina is assassinating a noble is LeBlanc. That is how she's able to draw all of these events that are about to happen or are occurring. I mentioned Katarina, what is she doing? Well, I mean it's obvious what she is doing, she's trying to kill a noble, but why is Elise there and why is Katarina killing a noble? I believe that noble could be someone who works under the Black Rose, and we know that General Swain from the Triferics despises the Black Rose, and even in the past he went on a spree killing anyone affiliated to the Black Rose, including his parents. I reckon he has info on that noble being a Black Rose member and has tasked Katarina to kill him, as she is an assassin to hire. So why would Elise get involved? Well, she's also a noble member of Noxus, and particular the House of Kaithera, so maybe the noble is from her house, hence she is defending him. Also, side note, I like how we get to see Elise become a spider. It was pretty cool seeing the transformation in detail, and a little extra detail, Elise hates being a spider in front of people, hence she only transforms when there is no one else in the room and only after the dude being killed. A particular symbol I want to talk about is the symbol which looks like a wolf. I think most people assume that it is Mel, and honestly that's me too, and Vladimir does say that we need to talk about the opportunity that's washed upon our shores, and then we see the symbol on the wall, making it more likely it's Mel. But I would be lying if I said that it does not remind me of Kindred. I'm not saying Mel is Kindred, but I did read a theory that some people believe that Mel is actually Kindred. And lads, if that's the case, then Kindred is genuinely the strongest rat in Runeterra, so I don't think that's true. I do believe that maybe Kindred has a special affiliation with Mel. I mean, from Ambessa's cinematic, it was almost like Kindred gave Ambessa and her baby, who we think is Mel, a second chance at life. So maybe that's how they got that bond. And that final symbol we see at the end of the whole cinematic, that I believe is the most important symbol out of all of them, and honestly the most important part of the whole cinematic. I believe it is Neferi's dagger. Why do I think that? Well, I mean, it looks like a dagger with an eye, and a bit about Neferi is that she is an ex-ascended warrior from Shurima who becomes a Darkin. A Darkin is someone who goes crazy and becomes corrupted by blood magic, and long story short, any Darkin warrior in the past gets sealed into a weapon. Neferi the Darkin was sealed into a dagger, and her dagger gets founded years later by a robber who then gets attacked by a pack of dogs, and basically Neferi starts controlling these dogs, hence she looks like a dog. Neferi, when she returns as a pack of dogs, realizes that during the Darkin War, which she lost, all of the Darkins had their own agendas and never really teamed up, whereas it was all of Runeterra fighting the Darkin warriors. So she thinks, what if the Darkin actually teamed up? Then the chances of them winning is 100 times higher. She learns this through seeing the pack mentality of the dogs she controls. One dog alone is weak, but as a pack they're very strong. And what we know of current Neferi is that she is going around right now trying to recruit all of the Darkin warriors so they can fight all together instead of alone. I think that dagger and the calamity LeBlanc is referring to is actually Neferi making her team of Darkins. Especially as in the scene we see a black aura going towards the image, as if Neferi recruiting the Darkin is becoming a threat. A cool little symbolism I think Riot added on purpose. Imagine this, the next show is based around Noxus, but the endgame is a fat war between the Darkin and all of Runeterra, but this time the Darkin war is bigger and stronger than before, as the Darkins are now a team. I did read some theories it's a symbol from Bilgewater, but honestly I don't think it is, and it wouldn't really make sense either. The cinematic was really cool and I loved it. I have recorded this video very fast. If there's anything I missed or something you want me to explain in more detail, tell me in the comments. I'm recording this at 4 AM, so like and subscribe. Thank you, love you, bye.